Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening.
Word up, mic check, check, check. You're tuned in live, the Company Man Show. It's all happening. Let me know if you guys can hear me. It's tough for me to tell sometimes how the audio is coming through from the beginning. So I'm still getting used to this live stream. I'm still getting used to reporting every day. I've got some surprises on the way, of course, but this is really just to get used to what's going on. So I really appreciate you guys. 1 second applause. My name is Justin Hunt. This is the Company Man channel. If you'd like to support the channel, you hit the Cash App that's right up there or right below me. It's the best way to support this channel. Big thank you to everyone who's donated. If you could like to donate, you hit the link in the description as well. That is great. And big shout out to all my newest members. All my newest members back again, prod by Pack TV, Marty McFly 25, Set in the West Doc, the Leo M. Ricci, Veronica Brandon 9442, KO Nickel, L. Drewski the Prod, Sade Hodder 7051. 9 second applause. Thank you. All right, so Pack show today. Pack show today. We've got Meg had a big victory. Meg the Stallion had a very big win today. We're going to go through the details in that just here in a second. Also, 50 Cent has a Diddy documentary coming out on Netflix. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do we need another Diddy documentary? Apparently we do. So we're going to go over that here shortly. I've got a couple of new tracks I want to highlight, one from Papoose and one from a group by Spookz who sat by the speaker. So we'll get to those throughout today's conversation. Also, a crazy story coming out of Oklahoma today. In Oklahoma, there was a student who wrote a paper for her psychology class at the University of Oklahoma. And the professor gave it a failing grade because it's a terrible story. It's a terrible written paper. And she got the teacher fired. And so we'll go through the details of this crazy story that happened that is related to Joel Santana last week saying people don't need to read. Maybe there is a lot more going on in our education system than we we talk about every day. So we're going to go through that story. And then a funny interaction between LaRussell and Shirley Jew. Big shout out to LaRussell and Shirley Jew. Big fans of both of them. 1 second applause. All right. You guys ready? You guys ready to rock with me? It's all happening. All right. First story up. Let's see. Let's see. First story up. Meg the Stallion. First story up. Meg the Stallion. Meg the Stallion. She's on a winning streak. I'm not mad at Meg the Stallion at all. I mean, you know, for someone who seems to me to be targeted quite a bit, people have problems with Meg the Stallion. And obviously this stems from her previous court victory, which was her case against Tory Lanez. Now, Tory Lanez was found guilty of shooting Meg the Stallion in the foot. Now, some of the broader things that were happening around this was that there were allegations for a very long time that Tory was seeding certain information to different bloggers in an attempt to defame Meg the Stallion, and also seeding some deep faked visual content. Okay, it was a terrible story all the way around. Well, we have a verdict today. And here's the NBC News story. Megan Thee Stallion wins defamation civil suit against blogger. Don't even put her name in the headline. NBC News was like, yeah, no, this is a Meg Thee Stallion story. We do not need to put homegirl's name in the headline. 1 second applause. That's petty. The rapper accused Milagro Grams of being a mouthpiece, puppet, and paid surrogate for Tory Lanez, who shot Megan on July 15th, 2020 in Los Angeles. Okay, so here's the details of the story. A federal judge sided with Meg Thee Stallion on Monday and agreed, a federal judge sided with Meg Thee Stallion on Monday and agreed that a blogger defamed and harassed the rapper, but limited damages to less than six figures. Okay, so there's a lot of people who are looking at this as some sort of victory in that sense. Okay, it wasn't that big of a judgment. Is part of how the story is going on this. We're going to get into the details on there, but check out the rest of what we're seeing here. The federal panel of 5 men and 4 women came down in favor of the artist born Megan Pete in her lawsuit against blogger Milagro Grams, whose real name is Milagro Cooper. The civil suit was over material the defendant posted after the plaintiff was shot 5 years ago by R&B musician Tory Lanez. And they call him an R&B musician. I don't know. I feel like this NBC News story has a extra level of petty. I mean, I know Tory does R&B as well, but I'm not used to seeing him written this way. They usually call him a rapper or they call him a hip hop artist. But okay, well, shout out to R&B. R&B's having a moment. 1 second applause. Jurors initially awarded the plaintiff $75,000 before U.S. District Court Judge Cecilia M. Altanaga knocked it down to $59,000. The rapper declined to answer any questions from reporters as she left the court. The defendants didn't appear to be particularly pleased or distressed by the panel's findings. "I'm not ecstatic," Cooper said. "Of course you want things to go your way, but like I said, I respect the jury and what they decided." The blogger's attorney, Jeremy McClymont, said he's grateful that jurors didn't award 7 digits of damages. Exactly, right? I mean, this could have been a lot worse, a lot worse. I tend to look at this as Milagro ain't got that much money. One of the things that I think about all the time in situations where people sue someone or don't sue someone, and sometimes you sue someone because you just want to make a point. Sometimes you sue someone because you want to have it on record that you were wronged and you need to have the court recognize that and address that. Sometimes you sue someone for money, of course. You want to get whatever damages you can. But in the sense, when it comes to this case with Meg Thee Stallion, to me, that's what this was about. Like, I looked at this like, okay, Meg needs to let people know to stop playing with her name. She went through all that stuff with Tory Lanez, and here's this blogger, Milagro, who was allegedly a part of the smear campaign that's around it. That's what this always looked like to me. So I'm not actually shocked at this number of damages. I also don't know how much money Milagro really got. I mean, I'm not sure, you know what I mean? So I'm not thrown off by this, but there is discussion around this, and we'll get to that in a second. At the end of the day, it was not a complete win for any side. The musician accused the blogger of being a mouthpiece, puppet, and paid surrogate for Lanez, who shot Megan on July 15, 2020 in Los Angeles. Jurors found that Cooper willfully encouraged her thousands of followers on X and Instagram to view an explicit deepfake video of Pete that had been circulating on social media. Lanez shot Pete in the foot after the pair left a party at Kylie Jenner's home in 2020. A Los Angeles jury found Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, guilty of 3 felony charges on December 23rd, 2022, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. He was sentenced up to 10 years behind bars. Pete said she's been struggling with mental health issues since the shooting and harassment from the blogger. And so that's really the case here, right? And so, and we finally have a verdict with it. Hey, shout out to Meg Thee Stallion. 1 second applause. All right, so there's more here, though. And let's take a look at Meg the reporter. We're going to share this down here. Is it moved over? It has not moved over. All right, so let's see. All right, so here's Megan the reporter. Okay, let's see if you guys are familiar with her. So here's Megan the reporter. And Megan the reporter, a few things about Megan the reporter. One, she was in Glasses Malone video with LA Giants and Jurassic 5. So 1 second applause. I actually got to meet her in person for the first time on that set. But 2, she basically blows up because of the Meg Thee Stallion Tory Lanez case. She's an independent courtroom reporter who had previously worked at Law and Crime, which is a production company that specializes in legal content. I was a writer for 4 seasons on a show called Court Cam, and she was writing for other shows under that same production company called Law and Crime. So our paths have crossed a few different times now, even though the first time I met her was thanks to Glasses Malone. So shout out G. 1 second applause. And so Megan Cuniff basically blows up. Like we see here, she's got 140,000 followers on Twitter, right? So she's not a small account by any means at this point. And that's largely because she was on the ground breaking all the news that was happening around Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. And they started calling her at a point in time, Meg the reporter. Meg the reporter. And a few weeks ago during this case, she actually got to meet, I don't want to say she met Meg, but she got to say hi to Meg in person for the first time. And so I could tell that was a big moment for her. And so she's been all over this. So let's see what Meg the reporter has to say about this case.
Hello from Miami, where we have a verdict in the Megan Thee Stallion defamation lawsuit. Milagro Cooper has been found liable for all 3 claims. Damages are $75,000, not as much as Megan's attorneys were hoping for, but just the fact that Milagro was found liable for those 3 claims is a big win for them.
So I think she's reporting on this before the judge came back and reduced it to $59,000. Nevertheless,
the jury did conclude that Milagro is a media defendant, which, according to how things go, because Megan's lawyers didn't serve her with a notice before suing her, the claim is going to be thrown out. It needs to be finalized by the judge. The judge did enter a final judgment today, but it's a little confusing about whether that actually covers the media defendant issue. However, the fact that the jury said that, yes, Milagro is a media defendant should really carry some weight with the judge here. They didn't answer yes to all the questions about whether she properly performs the tasks of a media defendant. I'll get into that in my story. But
so the question was, what constitutes media in 2025, which I do think is a bigger conversation that should be investigated more. I'm of the mind that everybody's the media. Everybody who is on social media with a phone, who's going out places, recording stuff, basically everybody's the media. I know that because people pull regular people as sources all the time these days, right? If you have a blog, if you have a account that you use to report news, if you have a YouTube account, if you have all these things, yo, you're media to me. And that looks like what the judges, or at least the jury, the decision they came to when it came to this case. Now, I know that it may not feel that way sometimes, but I spend enough time watching aggregated TikToks on YouTube, on my FAFO content, that I basically treat them as media sources to get at least a sentiment for what's happening with regular people. So that was something that came into play as this, and the jury came to the conclusion that yes, she's actually a media defendant.
overall, they did conclude that she is a media defendant.
Also, let me know if the audio is coming through clear here, if it sounds far away. Let me know.
However, they also concluded she defamed Megan, intentionally inflicted emotional distress on her, and then promoted a sexually explicit fake video of her. So that's the real issue here. And the fake video claim brings attorney's fees. So the $75,000 in damages is one figure, but we could end up with another figure here later on that requires Milagro to pay Megan's Quinn Emanuel fees, which, just looking at their catering, that's going to be through the roof. But it
just looking at her catering
could be a lot, but there are issues that remain to be seen here. But Megan left the courthouse, said, "I'm just happy." And Milagro left the courthouse, said that she's not ecstatic, but she respects the jury verdict. So I'm working on getting this all together for you guys. I've got a story I'm going to put up on legalaffairsandtrials.com. And if you guys go to my socials, you can see videos of people leaving, some details from court, that kind of thing. I'm shepherding it all together into a story for you guys. So subscribe to my Substack and you will get it in your inbox with everything you need. Thank you.
All right, there's Megan, the reporter on the scene. Audio is good. Perfect. Thank you for that. Yeah, so that's where we are right now. Let's take a look at a couple of reactions here. I'm not someone who's personally shocked at the dollar amounts. I think I agree again with the jury that she should be considered media in this case. And I think that also this case could be a really great precedent for people that act more responsibly with what they're posting online. That, hey man, it's just my socials, I was just throwing it up. I'm not sure how long we're going to be able to live with that type of coverage going forward, which I'm actually happy about. 1 second, applause. All right, so let's take a look at some more reactions over here. Now here is Meg the Stallion leaving the court.
I'm just happy. I'm just happy.
You see that wave right there? I think she's waving at Megan. But yeah, this is Megan the Stallion's reaction here. Let's take a look at the full video.
Happy. Celebrate, Megan.
Shout out to Clay Thompson, just cuz. 1 second, applause. All right, so that is Meg the Stallion leaving the courtroom. Here is Milagro Grams. Let's take a look at her too. You look relieved. She came out smiling. She's like, woof, 59,000? Okay. Thank you.
How are you going to handle the financial aspects of all this? Because you testified you don't have any money.
Better than 70 million, though, right?
Ain't it?
But tell me about that. She wanted tens of millions. What did she get?
What did they say in there?
59,000.
What about attorney fees for the deep fake liability?
What did you say?
You can stop walking to her.
Can you be still?
Don't be down here now. Don't be.
Okay.
Megan was in and out. Milagro's like, let me milk this.
At the end of the day, this is not my case, it's Milagro's case, right? And we did everything we could to make sure that she got the best verdict possible. We respect the jury's verdict. We always have to, right? And whether we agree with it or not, we respect it. And at the end of the day, it was not a complete win for any side. It's a trial. This is what happens in trial. And we think that, at the end of the day, the verdict was what it's going to be.
But they wanted tens of millions of dollars.
Right. They didn't get that. Gratefully, the jury didn't see fit to award her that sort of money. I don't think that was appropriate in any circumstances. And so that's what the jury found.
And is she able to pay 59,000?
I'm not in this bank account, so I can't say whether she can pay that or not right now. That's something that she's going to have to figure out with her accountant, right?
They asked her if she could pay the 59,000. He's like, that's something she got to figure out with her accountant. Sorry, 1 second applause. That's hilarious.
Cooper, you said that you had not been your
attorneys. And how do you feel about the job that they did?
The job my attorneys did?
Yes.
Dream team. They were phenomenal.
Are you happy then with the outcome?
I'm not ecstatic. Of course, you want things to go your way, but like I said, I respect the jury and what they decided. And I think I made out pretty good.
Any lessons learned next time you get on air?
Yeah. So tune into the next show so y'all can see how I handle things moving forward, y'all. Okay?
Is there any concern about having to pay attorney fees because you were found liable for the deepfake video?
You said, am I concerned?
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be moving forward. Things will get handled. Like I said, it wasn't a multi-million-dollar verdict, so I think that's a blessing. God is good through and through, honestly.
Do you have any regrets at all about just anything that happened over the last couple of years? Anything that was said on the streets or anything like that?
I think it's important to stand up for what you believe in, and I'm happy for the people that support me and understand me and go along with my thought process.
All right, so that is Milagro. That's what Milagro had to say. She said she's happy it's not a multi-million-dollar verdict. And she said, tune into her show to see what she has to say next. So there's more to come on this. A couple of reactions here. And we got this one right here. I think I'm getting better at this, guys. I'm getting better at knowing when I need to make myself little and make myself big. 1 second, applause. Rexy says, Tasha owes Cardi B millions, and now Milagro owes Megan. This just continues to show, yeah, you can talk on a podcast all day, but you still have to be responsible in what you share to the public. Shout out to Cardi and Meg for not letting some of these bloggers bully them. 1 second, applause. I agree with that. I think everybody needs to be way more responsible in how we talk about these things, with what we're talking about. Hip Hop Star says, y'all spent 3 years calling Megan a liar, only for a jury to confirm Milagro coordinated with Tory, defamed Megan, and promoted a deep fake. The entire Megan made it up storyline didn't just fall apart. It got legally pronounced dead in open court. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. 1 second, applause. Let's see. Here's another one here. This one is from The Queen Stallion says, Milagro brought this on herself and could have took her dry wig, and minded her business after Tory was found guilty. But she chose to obsess over Megan. Now belt been put to ass. Milagro Graham's guilty of defamation against Megan. It's a celebration out here. And here's another one. This one's from Dennis Bryan. Now, Dennis Bryan's on the other side of this. He said, let's be honest. Meg Thee Stallion wanted millions like Cardi B, but ended up with peanuts. This case should have never been filed, in my opinion, because it didn't achieve her ultimate goal. She didn't even stop to speak with members of the media, shaking my head. And people are clapping back at my man. He says, here's a quote right here from Aubrey, says, the concept of anyone expecting millions from Milagro. 1 second applause. Again, I look at this as more of an opportunity to make a statement, to let people know, don't be playing with my name out here. Let people know that, hey, certain things are across the line, and let people know that more people are actually part of the media than it may seem oftentimes. We have one more here. This one says, Milagro flew too close to the sun, but I don't believe she defamed Megan. And no, I don't care what a jury says. She held true to what she believed, and they still didn't prove Tory paid her. Well, she lost the case. And so in the court of law, that is what matters. And so it will now be on record forever that Milagro Grahams defamed Meg Thee Stallion. So we'll see what happens with this case. I haven't covered this case at all. So this is my first time looking at this. Big shout out to Andy Pandy. She suggested that I wait till this was the conclusion of this case to really talk about it. And I think that was the best approach. I'm also really happy for Meg Thee Stallion. You know, Meg Thee Stallion, generally speaking, from where I'm sitting, just be minding her own business and doing her own thing, right? And this particular thing, this Tory Lanez case and all the spillover became such a lightning rod for culture war conversations, and it went way too far. I mean, regardless of the relationship that Tory and Meg had, when you have all this evidence and someone has bullet wounds on their feet, and you decide to make this a whole political statement, do you have congresswomen talking about, oh, we're going to have there's going to be a new trial. Oh, Tory's we got new evidence. You got a whole wing of media showing up every day, poking holes into this woman's reputation, claiming all kinds of new evidence. And every time this has popped up, it has been denied at a different level of our legal system. And all I hear from people is, Rock Nation, oh, you know, Rock Nation. No, man, Tory messed up, and this is the spillover effect. And so I'm really happy for Meg Thee Stallion. Hopefully she can put all this behind us. We'll see if there's any future developments that come with this. But let me know in the comment section what you think about this. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow the Company Man on everything, including the Company Man podcast, where you listen to podcasts. It's all happening. All right, we got some super chats over here. And so let's see. We got new members. Big shout out to you, Blueberry. I think I got that right. I hope I got that right. Thank you so much. 1 second applause to you. Who we got next? Yep, we got it again. That's what's up. I'll take it again. 1 second applause again. Who's this? We got Vicky. Thank you so much, Vicky. 1 second applause. And you get another one too, Vicky. Thank you so much. Best way to support the channel, super chats, donate to the channel. You know, this is another evolution in a year of evolution that I've been having on this channel. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for all the support. And we are going into the next story. You guys ready for the next story here? I'll take that as a yes. So I'm a big fan of Papoose. I've been a big Papoose fan for a long time. Big Papoose fan. And we did a story on this channel last year where Papoose was doing something I thought was pretty innovative, but also something that was very, very on the nose in a good way. I think that might be the way to say it. He recorded an album while driving around in his car. 1 second applause. So his whole thesis was like, yo, I'm always riding in the whip rapping. I'm always listening to rap in the car. I'm always coming up with bars in the car. Let me record a whole album in the car. And so we showed a clip of what he was doing last year. Well, this week, actually, he actually released that project, and it's called Bars on Wheels. Bars on Wheels. And he released a short film. It's an 11-minute short film where it plays out the storyline. So we're going to take a look at, We're going to take a look at one of the first songs now, and then we're going to move into the next story after this. So this is like the music interludes that we're going to do as we transition to the next story. But this is actually really dope. So let's take a look.
They can't challenge my intellect. The top of the watch is flooded with straight baguettes. My rollie more presidential than the candidates they elect.
I'll show you a clip after this of him actually recording these songs. I mean, this is the polished video that he's putting out here for his for the short film itself. But he is kicking some bars on this.
They can't challenge my intellect. The top of the watch is flooded with straight baguettes. My rollie more presidential than the candidates they elect. You industry niggas owe, but keep your money. Pay respect. I'm about to make a movie. Go get your popcorn and Raisinets. Kill your favorite rapper. I stop his oxygen, break his neck. We could twist pinkies and touch thumbs. Let's make a bet. So many magnums on me, they think I'm practicing safer sex. The black 44 bulldog. Yeah, that's my favorite pet. They say I'm going to hell, but is that a
his flow is so smooth, yo. Chris flow. Eyebrow raising metaphors, and it's just the setup. You know it's about to go crazy.
Promise, don't make a threat. We already inhale something like when you take a breath. The bullet go from my fingers to the clip to the chamber next. Fly through the barrel, rip through your jacket and cave your chest. Moving like Bishop, not popping juice. A game of chess, the way I keep my eyes on the prize. They think I hang with Clef, ain't have to teach my daughter to walk. That's why I say she blessed. I taught her how to stand up. She taught herself how to take a step.
I love that line. Listen to this again. I'll say, listen to this again. This line is so crazy.
In my chest, the way I keep my eyes on the prize. They think I hang with Clef, ain't have to teach my daughter to walk. That's why I say she blessed. I taught her how to stand up. She taught herself how to take a step.
I didn't have to teach my daughter to walk. That's why I say she's blessed. I taught her how to stand up. She taught herself how to take a step. It's simple bars like that that just make my mind so much bigger. Like, it's just a weighty way to frame something so relatable. I'm gonna hear that one more time. I love that. 1 second applause to Pat for that.
Bishop, not popping juice. A game of chess, the way I keep my eyes on the prize. They think I hang with Clef, ain't have to teach my daughter to walk. That's why I say she blessed. I taught her how to stand up. She taught herself how to take a step.
That's crazy. I mean, even the setup to that, the way I keep my eyes on the prize, it's like I hang with Clef. Shout out to Praz. 1 second applause. Shout out to the Fugees. I don't know what the timing was with Pat putting this out, releasing this, but Praz just got, I think it's 14 years in prison. Finally got sentenced for helping, I think he was, I don't want to say he was Chinese. I think he was Malaysian billionaire, influenced the Obama campaign. That's one thing about the Fugees. Right. When the Fugees get arrested, it'd be on some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? Like John Forte went to jail for trafficking liquid cocaine and then got pardoned by George W. Bush. Okay. Lauren went to jail for tax evasion. And Praz is over here with illegally influencing the president. The refugee camp. I mean, they might be, all things considered, they might have done more time than any other rap group. And I'm not sure that's the group we'd expected to be in these situations after we heard Fuji La. 1 second applause. Say that one more time. We'll get back to it.
But next, fly through the barrel, rip through your jacket and cave your chest. Moving like Bishop, not popping juice. A game of chess, the way I keep my eyes on the prize. They think I hang with Clef, ain't have to teach my daughter to walk. That's why I say she blessed. I taught her how to stand up. She taught herself how to take a step. Broke the Guinness Book of World Records and we ain't break a sweat. 200 hungry artists on one record, slay the best. If he rollin' CeeLo, then I'ma drop when he didn't expect. Cause after back-to-back head cracks, you know the ace is next to big cigarette lighter. Burn your flag if you claim you're set. Run across your throat with the razor blade. They say Gillette ain't have to teach my daughter to walk. That's why I say she blessed. I taught her how to stand up. She taught herself how to take a step.
Slow down, son, you killing them.
Nah, I got the need for speed.
Slow down, son, you killing them.
Nah, I got the need for speed.
Slow down, son, you killing them.
Nah, I got the need for speed.
Slow down, son, you killing them.
Nah, I got the need for speed.
Your film moves on. Here come the police. Look at Pap acting right here. What's my direction? You just got pulled over by the cops. Whatever that would normally be. Okay.
Why you pulling me over, man? License and registration.
All right. So that is the first video from Bars on Wheels. It's 11 minutes long. There's multiple videos. I'm gonna come back to it at the next break, and we'll take a look at it. But big shout out to Papoose, man. I really like what he's doing with this. I think he's always been a phenomenal MC. I like to see him in the news when it comes to new music he's putting out. The Law Library series is ridiculous. He's one of those artists in the 2000s that if you go back to the 2000s and the first XXL freshman cover, which was called Leaders of the New School, I think that's the last piece that Elliot did before he left XXL. And it had Lupe Fiasco, it had Papoose on it, it had Gorilla Zoe, it had OJ the Juice Man, it had Crooked Eye, it had Saigon, it had a number of people. And the cover itself was probably like half spitter and then half, trap artist, because that was the era it was. And Lupe was basically the only lyrical rapper, the only real heavy lyricist on that list who even got to put an album out. Everybody got shelved, and Papoose was one of those guys. And his talent has just been dope enough for so long to continue to keep his name out there, to continue his audience. And he pivoted very nicely when it came to the onset of the internet, the onset of the streaming era, and the download era. And so I'm excited about this. I'm going to come back and play another song after this, after we get through this next story. But big shout out to Papoose. Bars on Wheels out now. I'm going to give this 8-second applause. Word up, word up. All right. On to our next story. Let me know if you guys are rocking with Papoose's Bars on Wheels too. If you guys are rocking with this this joint. I think Pap is just a crazy, crazy, crazy MC. All right. So up next. All right. I get that this Diddy case has been a monumental case, right? And I think going into Diddy being arrested, those months early where we saw the federal agents on every coast raiding his homes, when we started hearing everything that Cassie had to say and how quickly that settled, and all the build up to him actually going to trial, right? And so I get that this is a huge story. Okay. But after going through the trial, and the coverage was crazy, and Diddy gets convicted on 2 counts of prostitution, and he evades all the RICO charges, and he's sentenced to, I think, 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, 48 years, something like that, something manageable. I mean, I think we thought Diddy was going away for a long time, but with Diddy's reputation being as awful as he's been to so many people, with what we saw in the video from CNN from where he assaulted Cassie in the hotel, I really feel like as soon as the verdict came down, the story just deflated completely, because I think everyone expected Diddy would be serving a lot more time or get convicted for something serious. When the DA came out and said, "Oh, we got RICO charges, he's using bad boy funds to, inappropriately," I thought I think a lot of us felt like Diddy was running like a cocaine ring on private jets all over the place. It looked like, it turns out he was just using the bad boy account to have freak offs. The things that we know factually that Diddy did weren't things that the DA charged him with. And so to me, this is a real miscarriage, or how about this? This was a real failure of the justice system, right? It's like when you hear sirens in the background, right? and you think the sirens are on the way to an emergency, but really they're just trying to beat a red light. And you're like, why are my tax dollars going so that people with sirens can beat a red light and I got to sit at the red light, right? It's a miscarriage of what we think things are for. And that was what that Diddy case looked like to me. I'm thinking my man is Al Capone. Turns out he was having freak-offs with the company credit card. And that's just a different thing. And so for me, this whole story is basically deflated heavily since the verdict came down. And yet and still, every time I look up, there is a new Diddy documentary. There was a TMZ documentary. I think there was an A&E documentary. There might be a Hulu documentary. I feel like there's at least 3. This dude Epstein is that's one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life. I don't think we've got nearly enough Epstein documentaries, and I think we have way too many Diddy documentaries. Way too many Diddy documentaries. Because here comes 50 Cent with another Diddy documentary. Now, I know what you're thinking. What can 50 say that these other people can't say about Diddy? Apparently a lot. Apparently a lot. And I think that there is this is a grudge match over here between these two, hating each other for so long. So let's take a look at the trailer, and then we're going to take a look at 50 on Good Morning America talking about this. Not just look at my man. I'm like, yeah, you really got to hate somebody a whole lot to be the last one to the market with a documentary about a court case that didn't explode the way we thought it was going to explode. You know what I mean? So let's take a look at what Diddy has, or excuse me, what 50 is showcasing in his. Apparently there's more. So here is 50 on Good Morning America, and he's breaking down what we can expect when we check out this documentary. So let's take a look.
Scene footage of Sean Diddy Combs in the days leading up to his arrest in New York last September.
You want to put the stuff in my fanny pack, King?
The exclusive video obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating with his lawyers about strategy.
Listen to me. I'm going to get off the phone right now, and I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what nobody said. Let's just here and there, y'all are not working together the right way. We're losing.
The footage is part of a new highly anticipated docuseries by director Alex Stapleton and rapper and executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, titled Sean Combs, The Reckoning.
Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching?
I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
It was very interesting to.
It was surprising that he actually filmed it. I mean, I'm shocked. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like one thing that we have seen in recent years quite a bit is a number of people who've been prepared for their big break and want to have a documentary around it. I mean, we just saw that with the Genius documentary with Ye. I think that the business person inside in Diddy sits around and says, yo, we actually need to document this, because after we beat this, then we're going to be able to let people know what really happened. I think the arrogance in there, I think the businessman in there, yeah, of course he's going to film that. I still want to know how you got it though, 50.
Watch a man who's known for his brand presence. You know, he has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public.
The exclusive video also shows Combs in Harlem greeting fans.
Off my back, bro. Lord, you win. Lord, you win. Be with it.
I'll accept it. I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got it. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath. Like the amount of people that actually I'm coming in contact with, like that's what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? Oh. It's like 150 hugs.
I mean, now, okay, I know that looks bad. That looks really bad, right? Now, Diddy's outside touching the people, shaking hands. He's getting inside the car, and he's like, I need to wash my hands, touching all these people. But we are in a post-COVID world. I know regular people who just go outside every day now. And as soon as they get in, the first thing they do is wash their hands. I know people who carry hand sanitizer on them. Like maybe in like 2015, that would hit me different. Post-COVID, everybody should be doing that, in my opinion, to be honest.
Public person as well, and there was one instance in Harlem, and his reaction when those people
went away.
Got in
his car and said, I feel like I need to wash, like I'm dirt. That was, it shows you his character.
Was that the reason for including it?
Yeah, I mean, and what's the odds that you would do that in front of the camera? Like that's one of the moments where he forgot he was on tape.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester, like maybe you'll come play with me, type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important.
I mean, I think it's extremely personal. I don't buy 50 Cent's story around that at all. With that just being this, you know what I mean? I feel like you have two people from New York City who have risen to the top of their industry, a very competitive industry, and there's a lot of overlap in general. Okay, there were years ago, there were rumors that 50 Cent had a relationship with one of Diddy's ex-wives or girlfriends. Years ago, that was a rumor. I can't verify that or not. I do know that Diddy or 50's baby mama was a part of the trial. 50's baby mama was on that stand describing these things. Okay, now I know that 50th Law is one of my favorite books. If anybody ever needs to read something that can help them getting out of a stuck position, help them look at the world a different way so that you can rearrange your Lego pieces and craft something extraordinary, check out the 50th Law. It's a great book. That book right there, the 50th Law to me says, if there's a 51st law, it would be if your ops sluts out your baby mama, you make an incriminating documentary about that. That would be the next one. Because that's what this looks like to me. There's nothing else I think that can be shed about this case that we haven't seen in all these previous documentaries that have been out here. I think the case, again, like I set up in the beginning, really let a lot of people down in terms of how the prosecution handled the case and what they actually charged Diddy with, and they couldn't prove. That's what this looks like right here to me. When your wife, your baby mama, embarrasses you, or when someone has her in these situations, you make a documentary about it. That's what that looks like to me. I do not buy 50 Cent whenever he's talking about saying it's not personal.
Tomato.
Because that's not the truth. You can tell by his smile right here. His face is saying, yep, Robin Roberts is going to believe that one. Robin will believe that one.
Important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
The 4-part series also features 2 jurors from Combs' trial who are speaking for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict, finding Combs guilty of 2 prostitution offenses, but clear of racketeering and sex trafficking charges.
Now, this is actually big. As far as I know, we haven't necessarily seen, at least I haven't seen any of the jurors talk about this yet. So that part right there will be interesting. That's something I'll definitely be checking for with this.
Both sharing their thoughts on the relationship between Combs and singer Cassie. Juror 75 describing them as 2 people in love, and Juror 160.
2 people in love. This is how bad bad of a job the prosecution did. When Juror 75 left the courtroom after this case was over, his takeaway was 2 people in love. That's how bad the prosecution did.
He's saying in part, domestic violence wasn't one of the charges.
And this is the big one. And this is what we all think, I think. We all wonder, where were the domestic violence charges? Now, there's a few legal examples or legal reasons why they weren't in there. But if they're going to base the case off of what we saw in that CNN video, if we're going to base that if that's the crux of the emotional pull of this case, and you're going to try to charge him with RICO, you're going to throw a RICO at him just because, and try to make people look at this incident, but legally charge him for having freak-offs with her and knowing that she was at least part of setting it up at different points in time. Like, that is a hard legal barrier or legal hurdle to hit. And it's really disappointing for all parties involved that the prosecution handled this way. But this is going to be interesting to see what the jurors say.
Cassie, is she a victim in all this?
I believe Cassie's a victim in all this because she came in as she's like 18, like 19 years old in the very beginning. After a while, over time, you condition for it.
The goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come in to ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
I hate this question. This is a question I hate, not even just with this case, just in general. Like when a rapper gets caught murdering somebody or selling drugs or whatever, they try to make it a hip-hop thing. No, that nigga's a criminal. Like, that is a different kind of thing. Just because hip-hop has a lot of different types of people in it doesn't mean that's always a hip-hop thing. I get it. I get where Robin's coming from. You kind of got to ask that for your audience. I mean, I'm sure the Good Morning America audience thinks about this. Hip-hop makes a lot of national, international headlines. When someone gets in trouble, that's not always exclusive to hip-hop either.
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as the hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
That's a bit self-serving, Fifth. I feel like a lot of people were upset about this. I feel like people were very vocal. People were very vocal for a long time about all the things that we saw with this Diddy trial. I personally feel that way from the headlines I read, from the editorialized conversations that were around this case, from the artists themselves. Coverage on this channel, coverage on a bunch of channels. Puff's friend base got pretty small, actually. There were a lot of people who didn't say they supported Puff in this situation. There was a lot of criticism around this.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth in it.
Wow, that was some finish right there. Thank you, Robin, for that. Sean
Diddy will say it's the greatest documentary of all time. 1 second applause. I'm with it. All right, so that's the documentary. That's this conversation on Good Morning America. Again, this comes tomorrow. I thought this was really funny. This is Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson, the comedian. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Josh Johnson. My favorite thing about Josh Johnson is how fast he is as a comedian. He is on his trending topics. if there was a big news story about a siren going on and off in the background, Josh Johnson would be able to turn into a bit that night. He's really fast, really, really fast. And so he has some commentary here on his take on this documentary. Let's see what he says.
Is so hated by 50 Cent that apparently a decade ago, 50 Cent just started gathering information on Diddy.
A decade ago.
As much as he could find. And he started working on a documentary series on how bad Diddy is. A documentary. He did interviews. He hates this man so much. I've heard of gossip. I've never heard of we're gonna have the whole crew there by 3, all right? And we'll have a place for you to sit. We'll have some snacks and everything. We'll just chop it up. We'll just chat. Tell me everything that he did, that bastard, right? A documentary series that he's already potentially sold to Netflix. He hates this. I've never hated. So I not only do my best to not be a hateful person, I really try to let things go and not hate anybody. So I don't even know what it's like to hate someone. So I've never hated someone. So imagine hating someone so much you're willing to edit. You're willing to sit at the computer and be like, no, that's not. Let's see if we can make this B-roll work. This dude hates him so much that there's actually things on the cutting room floor that didn't make it in. Imagine you hate somebody so much you don't even have time for how much you hate them in the thing you made about hating them. Because
I thought that was funny because I hate editing. I am not a fan of editing either. But Josh is crazy. So that's Josh Johnson, what he had to say about this documentary. And of course, a lot of people are wondering where's Jay-Z and all this and how. So this is what 50 Cent posted about Jay-Z. Here's what he said. He said, this is the message Jay-Z sent me when he realized he's not in the Diddy doc, LOL. I'm not gonna play the song because it's copywritten, but I think we got all major parties involved in this story. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section. Let me know if you guys plan to watch this too. You know what I mean? Like I'm Diddy'd out. I really am. You know, I think that from a journalistic standpoint, because you know this is my field, my profession. I have a responsibility to look at it, but honestly, there's a lot of Diddy stories out here that you know, I'm just tired to hear. You know what I'm saying? I'm just tired, you know, in a way. There's another story out with Diddy who is being accused of assault by Jonathan Hay. Jonathan Hay is a producer in the music industry. He also worked with a number of artists, and that's going on right now. And it's a state case out of California that's within the statute of limitations. So Diddy might actually have another trial that he has to beat that could have jail time connected to it. And Jonathan Hay is very excited to talk to anyone about his experience with Diddy. And it also implicates CJ Wallace, Biggie's son. And I haven't covered that story yet, but I'm Diddy'd out. That's how Diddy'd out I am. I'm like, I'm looking at this thing on the side. It's like, oh, this is very interesting, but I don't necessarily find that much interest in covering it. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comments section. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow the Company Man on everything, including the Company Man podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, it's all happening. All right, hit me in the comment section too what you guys think about that. We have about 3-4 more of the stories, and so I'm trying to get a rhythm in how I do this because I also want to chop these up into separate videos too. And so once I get a rhythm doing it myself, then we can start bringing on the guests. And so a different type of conversation there. But I really do appreciate each one of you for rocking with me. Let's check this out. Another thing I want to do on this show is I feel like there needs to be more music because I like music and this is a music space. And so there are a number of artists who email me things all the time that I do want to highlight. And so this one is from a group called Spookz, who sat by the speakers. They're out of Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, out of Virginia. And they have a song here called No Man Safe, featuring Stickman from Dead Press. So let's take a look at this. Let's see. Okay. See, this is the reason why I wanted to play this song today. They emailed me and they were like, yo, we're from VA. We're Spookz who sat by the speaker. Here's their what their banner looks like. You guys can check it out. I'll put a link in the description too. And so I'm listening through it, and you know, it's the type of rap I like anyway. You know what I'm saying? I love Dead Prez. I love revolutionary-minded rap. You know what I mean? This is just stuff that I like. And so I'll start it over. I realize you guys are saying you can't hear me. Can you hear me, or can you not hear the music? But let me know if you can hear me, actually. Can you hear me? You cannot hear the music. Huh. Let's see what's happening. Oh, you can hear music. Okay, you hear me, not the music. Okay, I can fix that. Okay. Let me fix this. All right. Okay. All right. So this group is called Spookz Who Sat by the Speakers. All right. And I think they're from Virginia. They sent me just a mixtape I think is really, really fresh. This song features Stickman from Dead Prez. And I'm going to play it now and let me know if you can hear it.
There's a war going on outside, no man is safe.
View Palestine as the birth of a nation in real time. This had to be what the natives felt like. The world couldn't watch it then, but the stories travel far.
See, that's why I was like, yo, I want to play this song, because he says something I've been thinking about for a minute now, right? And he's talking about Palestine. So he says, when you're watching Palestine, you're watching birth of a nation in real time. This is what the natives must have felt like. And that is how I feel when I'm watching what's happening in Palestine. Like, I feel like this is the first time we're watching a colonial settler project where the entire history of that project has been captured on cameras, right? I feel like that's what happened here. I feel like that's what happened here in America. I feel like this is Canada. I feel like this is South America. I feel like this is Australia. I feel like all these places have done this. But this is the one that happened so late that we can watch the entire history of this country on YouTube. Like, we could watch when World War II is over and people first start getting to Israel. Like, we could watch all this. And then, so the story that they keep telling me about it is so far off. And I'm like, wait a minute. I feel like all of us should be able to relate to this. And Spookz Who Sat by the Speaker, they get it. So 1 second applause. So I was like, yo, I got to play this song. All right, let's check it out.
There's a war going on outside, no man is safe.
View Palestine as the birth of a nation in real time. This had to be what the natives felt like. The world couldn't watch it then, but the stories travel far. Nowadays, it's front row seats to the Gaza cause. Think 13 colonies, we'd have been here before. We seen you come to a land inhabited. Change the name and call yourself establishing, when really you savaging, pillaging, raping villages, travel the world villainous, stealing identities. Look all the white folks who call themselves Indians. I told you we done seen this before. They thugging in this bitch. Colonialism and colonization is cousins in this bitch.
There's a war going on outside.
My Haitian brother Jack spoke to me from the grave, told me, Bass, you know my people refuse to be slaves. Told me back in the days, the souls ain't just a game. They babies a revolution just trying to get paid on American soil. Till the new revolution comes to a boil when we make all of they foul plans foil. I talk to the future, felt like history lessons. Cause right before my eyes I see it all manifesting. They extracting all the iridium, putting lithium packs in their backs but trying to get rid of them. That won't get you invited to the cookout, but that will get you barbecued and he'll let all the crooks out. Coming to burn your croissants like the return to Tucson. Cause on this land that we fought, they trying to build resorts. And the French had the nerve to take my people to court for back payments. How we pay a defeated slave owners reparations for lost wages is outrageous. So against the machine we raging. It's been all hell.
That's another thing too, right? I mean, even just conversations like these, I really enjoy and I love having. And I think about that too. He says, how are we paying colonization reparations, right? And that's what happened with Haiti. Like, I always see people talk about Haiti as if it's just this failed state. Well, no, they're the first state to win their freedom. And then as a result, everything they have as a result for their entire existence since they won their freedom from the French, they have to pay the French reparations. They have to pay the French reparations. right? We see this all around us all the time. We will look at Haiti as if it's like something wrong with them. But no, you have the global economic power and influence and forces conspire against them to make sure they fail. Right. And I think that is something that we have a sense for and a taste for, but I don't know if we necessarily think about what that looks like in real time, because we have to swim through all this propaganda and these, people talking out their neck about situations that they literally caused. Right. Haiti's an example of that. I was looking at the situation in Minnesota with people talking about the Somalis. Right. So there's all these Somalians. A group of Somalians just got caught with a $1 billion fraud against the state. Right. And so people are, and Trump spent his weekend talking about how he's going to deport these people back to Somalia. Right. That's what that is. But separate from that, I'm watching people celebrate how, we're going to kick the Somalis out. Now, whatever side you're on, that's whatever side you're on when it comes to that conversation. But I was watching this one video, and this one guy was like, this one white guy, this white kid, he was like, yeah, so, you ever wonder why we have so many Somalians here? Well, it was because of an American coup, put a leader in the country of Somalia who was overtaken in 1991, and that's where the movie Black Hawk Down came from. So their entire country collapsed, and so we allowed some Somalians to come here because they were assets to us, and that they all settled in Minnesota. There shouldn't be any Somalians here, right? And it was the cognitive dissonance of what he was saying. I'm like, okay, cool, you understand it, and yet you're like, there shouldn't be any here. Like his villain was still the people who were toppled by us, but we weren't the villains. You know what I mean? Like that cognitive dissonance to me is so pervasive in so many ways. I don't necessarily know what the right solution is in these situations, but I do think that if you're going to go invade a country, one of the only things that the colonizing country did or the imperial forces have done is just at least offer some people opportunity to come here if they helped out America, or if they helped out the UK, or if they helped out NATO or the Allied forces or whatever. And what we're seeing now in Western civilization is a rejection of those people too, right? If you start looking at why are there so many people at the southern border? Well, it's because we've been disrupting so many things in South America. Why are there so many people coming from the Middle East to Europe? Well, because we've been bombing the Middle East for like 20 years. But the cognitive dissonance or white supremacy, I guess, says that no, they shouldn't come here. Nobody should be able to leave that tragic situation. They should just stay there and die, I guess. Right? These are conversations that always just really fascinate me. And Spookz, who sat by his speaker, is putting it on wax.
Barbecue, and he'll let all the crooks out. Coming to burn your croissants like the return to Tucson. Cause on this land that we fought, they trying to build resorts. And the French had the nerve to take my people to court for back payments. How we pay a defeated slave owners reparations for lost wages is outrageous. So against the machine we raging. It's been all hell since they assassinated Jovenel. How it pans out only time will tell. Just know that there'll be no adherence to foreign interference, and we gon' bring the noise to their hearers. Sock passe, Nabule, rest in peace, Jack DeLeese.
There's a war going on outside. There's a war going on outside. There's a war going on outside. There's a war going on outside.
Word up. That is Spookz, who sat by the speaker. I put the link in the comments section. I also put the name of the group in the comments section as well. Give them a listen. Hit them on social media if you guys know them, and let them know what you think about their joints. I'm going to give that 7.8 second applause. So that is this week's, not even this week's, that is today's music break on that. But I'm a big fan of what they sent me too. Always looking out for new music. If you guys have joints that you think would make sense for me to play during the Company Man show, let me know. I'm not trying to get flagged, so don't be sending me nothing with all kinds of crazy samples. And don't send me nothing, then try to take the monetization from the video on the back end. That's just rude. My name is Justin Hunt. Like, subscribe to the channel. Follow the Company Man on everything, including the Company Man podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all happening. right, word up. You guys like that? Are you guys cool with like me playing music and stuff? Different music that I listen to? I feel like it's really, really difficult to like, I feel like YouTube makes it too difficult to for musicians to make money on their platform. You know what I mean? Big shout out to Read My Soul, right? Because YouTube music revenue isn't included in chart performance. And I feel like that is a very big, that's a problem, right? Like if you look at like the charts and they'll say, okay, this is what you did on your streaming platforms. You did this on YouTube Music, you did this on Spotify, you did this on Apple Music, fine. But they don't include all the times a song is played within other people's videos. So if a bunch of people are reacting to it, that's not included in their numbers. And I think that should be included in their numbers. What YouTube has done is they said, okay, well, who's the rights holder for this video? Okay, we're going to give all the things to the rights holder, or we're going to give it all to the creator. Let them figure it out. We can't do that. And I feel like there is I feel like that's a really unfortunate situation for actual artists, because if you're an artist and a bunch of people are reacting to your joints, you should be able to get that as well. And what they do, you should be able to get that as part of your chart performance as well. And what they do is they try to wrap it around the back end and give them the monetization on it. My problem with that is it de-incentivizes people to react to it. So if you're a new artist or a rising artist or a bubbling artist, and you're still within, it's not even just the label system anymore, even the distribution system, right? If you're distributed by the Orchard, they're going to try to snatch your stuff, right? So if you're anywhere in the system, it disincentivizes people to react to your music. And so therefore, people who might want to take their daily live stream and turn into basically a radio show have a challenge with that. You know what I mean? And so I still think there's a lot of legalities that need to be figured out for the benefit of the artists and the benefit of the creators as well. So nevertheless, if you have a song you'd like me to play and you think it's dope and you decide to email it to me and then you decide to flag me for it, I'm not sure how long that video is going to stay inside the stream. Just letting you know. All right, 1 second applause to all the artists out there. All right, now this story right here is just nuts to me. This is nuts to me. Last week, I was talking about Juelz Santana. Shout out to Juelz Santana.
Tomato.
Because that was what he was last week. Juelz Santana was making the argument how kids don't need to read anymore. And that is just
tomato.
One of the worst things I'd seen in a very long time. And so, but it reminded me quite a bit of conversations I have had with educators, people who teach in higher education, knowledge. Dr. Jabari Evans from Kids in the Hall, for example, he's a professor at the University of South Carolina. Professor Sky, he's another college professor at the same time. So I understand. I understand. A lot of things have changed since probably most of us were in school. And the biggest one, I think, is COVID. After COVID, when COVID hit, we sent kids to Zoom school and we sent them home. and teachers were just letting people go through the gates. And one of the things I talked about last week was how there's a case in Connecticut where a student is suing the city of Hartford for graduating her from high school, even though she was illiterate. Now, I don't even know how that happens, right? The point is, this is in the zeitgeist. And so today there was a huge story. I don't even say it's a huge story, but it's a viral story. And I think there's going to be more people covering it during the course of the week. I just thought it was really crazy. Okay, so we're going to set this up. This is actually a multi-part story here. But let's check out what's happening in Oklahoma, the 50th state in the union when it comes to education. So this was posted by Turning Point USA. Okay, so Turning Point USA. Let's see if that's better. We should make that bigger. Yep. So Turning Point USA posted this. They said, for a psychology course at the University of Oklahoma, Samantha Folnecki was asked to write a 650-word essay reacting to an article about how people are perceived based on societal expectations of gender. In her essay, Fulnecki argued that traditional gender roles should not be considered stereotypes. She cited the Bible to support her stance that eliminating gender in society would be detrimental because that would put people farther from God's original plan for humans. She received 0 points out of 25 on the essay, 0 out of 25. Transgender professor Mel Curtis said Ms. Fulnecki failed to use empirical evidence and called parts of her essay offensive. To call an entire group of people demonic is highly offensive, especially a minoritized population, the instructor wrote in the online grading platform. Fulnecki says she followed the assignment guidelines and should not be penalized for her religious viewpoints. Oklahoma University officials point to the formal grade appeal process as the student awaits decision. We at Turning Point USA stand with Samantha. We should not be letting mentally ill professors around students. Clearly, this professor lacks the intellectual maturity to set her own bias aside and take grading seriously. Professors like these are the very reason conservatives can't voice their beliefs in the classroom. Kudos to Samantha for leading by example and standing up for what she believes in. Oklahoma, do better, right? And so here's Samantha, right? So Samantha, based on this post, it sounds like Samantha wrote an essay. And the professor failed her because they disagreed with her religious beliefs, right? Now, if that's the case, I support it. You know what I mean? Like if people are out here getting bad grades just because they expressed what they believed in on the college campus, I'm with it, right? So I thought that was fine, right? So then I go down here and then they say, here's the professor's response to Samantha's essay. And they have a list. They have all the things the professor said. I was like, oh, this is cool. They're sourcing. This is great. And then they said, this is Samantha's essay. So I was like, okay, well, let's go see the essay. And then we'll go see what, we'll see what the professor said. So I go look at the essay. All right. And so here's the essay. The essay says, this article was very thought-provoking and caused me to thoroughly evaluate the idea of gender and the role it plays in our society. The article discussed peers using teasing as a way to enforce gender norms. I do not necessarily see this as a problem. God made male and female and made us differently from each other on purpose and for a purpose. God is very intentional with what he makes, and I believe trying to change that would only do more harm. Gender roles and tendencies should not be considered stereotypes. Women naturally want to do womanly things because God created us with those womanly desires in our hearts. I got to read that again. Women naturally want to do womanly things because God created us with those womanly desires in our hearts. I mean, that's a very circular statement, right? It's like saying, you know, God wants us to play PlayStation because God created us with PlayStation-y things in our hearts. You know, cats want to do cat things because cats were born with catly things in their hearts. You know, it's like, from a college level paper, that doesn't feel like this is a psychology course. So when I got to this line, I'm like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Women naturally want to do womanly things because God created us with those womanly desires in our hearts. The same goes for men. God created men in the image of his courage and strength, and he created women in the image of his beauty. He intentionally created women differently than men, and we should live our lives with that in mind. Okay. Then she says, it is frustrating to me when I read articles like this and discussion posts from my classmates of so many people trying to conform to the same mundane opinion so they do not step on people's toes. I think that is a cowardly way to live. It is important to use the freedom of speech we have been given in this country, and I personally believe that eliminating gender in our society would be detrimental as it pulls us farther from God's original plan for humans. It is perfectly normal for kids to follow gender stereotypes because that is how God made us. The reason so many girls want to feel womanly and care for others in a motherly way is not because they feel pressure to fit into social norms. It is because God created and chose them to reflect his beauty and his compassion in that way. In Genesis, God says that it is not good for man to be alone. So he created a helper for man, which is a woman. Many people assume the word helper in this context to be condescending and offensive to women. However, the original word for Hebrew is ezer kenegdo, and that directly translates to helper equal to. Additionally, God describes himself in the Bible using ezer kenegdo or helper, and he describes his Holy Spirit as our helper as well. This shows the importance of God places on the role of helper, women's roles. God does not view women as less significant than men. He created us with such intentionality and care. He made women in his image of being a helper and in the image of his beauty. If leaning into the role means I am following gender stereotypes, then I'm happy to be following a stereotype that aligns with the gifts and abilities God gave me as a woman. And then here's the end of it. I do not think men and women are pressured to be more masculine or feminine. I strongly disagree with the idea from the article that encouraging acceptance of diverse gender expressions could improve students' confidence. Society pushing the lie that there are multiple genders and everyone should be whatever they want to be is demonic and severely harms American youth. I do not want kids to be teased or bullied in school. However, pushing the lie that everyone has their own truth and everyone can do whatever they want and be whoever they want is not biblical whatsoever. The Bible says that our lives are not our own, but that our lives and bodies belong to the Lord for his glory. I live my life based on his truth and firmly believe that there would be less gender issues and insecurities in children if they were raised knowing that they do not belong to themselves, but they belong to the Lord. Right. So I looked at this. I was like, oh, wow, I'm surprised they even really posted the actual article, because away from whatever the opinion is that this student, whatever her perspective is on this case, when I read that, I don't see at least what I remember to be college editorials or college opinion papers or college psychology opinion papers, particularly. Like there were certain, like when I was in school, like you had to reinforce things with sources, like you had to cite things, you had to put footnotes at the bottom. The only reason I know how to put a footnote at the bottom of like a Word document now is because I had to do it in college. You know what I mean? Like, generally speaking, that's what I expect to see in a college course. And this student's a junior, right? So I read that and I was like, oh, wow, okay, well, what was the assignment? Like, wait, what was the actual assignment? I don't think I lost the assignment here. Turning Point USA told me that this woman got a bad grade because of her beliefs. I read the essay and it reads like an Instagram post. So maybe I'm missing something here. And it's a psychology course, so I'm confused, right? So I go over here and I look over here and let's see. Okay. So I go over here and here's the actual professor's comment. One, they label it trans professor's comment, which is eyebrow raising to me because clearly I can see the angle that they're going for here. But here's what they said. Please note that I'm not deducting points, but because you have certain beliefs, but I instead am deducting points for you posting a reaction paper that does not answer the questions for this assignment, contradicts itself, heavily uses personal ideology over empirical evidence in a scientific class, and is at times offensive. All right, so the first thing she says is, I'm not deducting points because of your beliefs. Well, the whole Turning Point USA framing is that, oh, this is because of their beliefs. So up front, the professor says, instead, I'm deducting points for you posting a reaction paper that does not answer the questions for this assignment, contradicts itself, heavily uses personal ideology over empirical evidence in scientific class, and is at times offensive. While you're entitled to your own personal beliefs, there is an appropriate time or place to implement them in your reflections. I encourage all students to question or challenge the course material with other empirical findings or testable hypotheses, but using your own personal beliefs to argue against the findings of not only this article, but the findings of countless articles across psychology, biology, sociology, etc., is not best practice. You argue that abiding by normative gender roles is beneficial. It is perfectly fine to believe this, but to then say everyone should act the same while also saying that people aren't pressured into gender expectations is contradictory. Right. That's what she said. She was saying, I don't think anybody should be bullied into being these things. We should all just do this thing that everyone is doing because God, right? So the same while also saying that people aren't pressured into gender expectations is contradictory, especially since your arguments reflect a religious pressure to act in gender stereotypical ways. You can say that strict gender norms don't create gender stereotypes, but that isn't true by definition of what a stereotype is. Please note that acknowledging gender stereotypes does not immediately denote a negative connotation, a nuance this article discusses. Additionally, to call an entire group of people demonic is highly offensive, especially a minoritized population. You are entitled to your own beliefs, but this isn't a vague narrative of society pushes lies, but instead the result of countless years of developing psychological and scientific evidence for these claims and directly interacting with the communities involved. You may personally disagree with this, but that doesn't change the fact that every major psychological, medical, pediatric, and psychiatric institute in the United States acknowledges that biologically and psychologically, sex and gender is neither binary nor fixed. I implore you apply some more perspective and empathy in your work. If you personally disagree with the findings, then by all means share your criticisms, but make sure you do so in a way that is appropriate and using the methodology of empirical psychology as aligned with the learning goals in this class, right? So she's reading her, but she's also bringing it back to, hey, but we need you to express your opinions based on empirical psychology as aligned with the learning goals in this class. All right, whatever your opinion is, just do it with empirical psychology, right? And to me, this is where it started to feel like this teacher got set up. I personally feel like this is starting to look like a setup. All right, I'll explain here in a second. If you have any additional questions or concerns about this, or would like someone additional educational resources, I would be happy to discuss this further and provide you with them. And here's another teacher, right? This is another teacher. Samantha, I am the other instructor for this course, and I have also taken time to read your paper. I concur with Mel on the grade you received. This paper should not be considered as a completion of the assignment. Everyone has different ways in which they see the world, but in an academic course such as this, you are being asked to support your ideas with empirical evidence and higher level reasoning. I find it concerning that you state that at the beginning of your paper that you do not think bullying is a bad thing. In addition, your paper directly and harshly criticizes your peers and their opinions, which are just as valuable as yours. Disagreeing with others is fine, but there's a respectful way to go about it. That goes for discussion posts as well as reaction papers. Please employ more thoughtfulness in your future assignments. Right, so it says additional professor. So they said this is what the trans professor said, and this is what the additional professor said. Right, I mean the whole thing is just kind of wild how they labeled this. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. You know, we are literally in idiocracy. Like I was just watching this last week with with Joel Santana telling me that people didn't need to read. And maybe a lot of people agree with Joel Santana, because looking at that paper, after I read her paper, for me, I looked at that and I was like, oh, okay, I see where her point of view is. There's a number of ways to argue this. Like, okay, you can go, at this point in time, you can go find almost any kind of scientist that will support any sort of social, political issue, right? Any issue you have, if you think, I don't know, dogs can have 3 legs or something. There's a paper somewhere you can go cite, and you can go cite that paper, right? If you want to say like, you know, what was it called? I can't think of what it's called. Oh, well, you know how like you had eugenicists, there's some, if you want to go make arguments that are pro-eugenics, there's all kind of eugenicists out there. They've all been debunked, but fine, you can go do this, right? If you want to talk about the Bible, you got the whole Bible. You got the whole Bible. You can say, well, Genesis chapter 6, verse 12 through 14 in the King James Version, it says this. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, yo, there's a bunch of ways to say that you don't like trans people. Like, that's really, all she wanted to say was, she wanted to say she didn't like trans people in 650 words. And she could have done this by looking at whatever scientist, Googling whatever Grok says on Twitter, and pulling out whatever quotes on the Bible and called it a day. It actually would have taken up word count space, because that's one of the best cheats when you used to have to do word count. Find big block quotes. I got 1,000 words. Let me go find 250 words of quotes. You know what I'm saying? They could have easily done that, but she didn't do any of this. All right. And so she got a 0 out of 25. Homegirl got a 0 out of 25 on her test, on her paper, and went to Turning Point USA. And Turning Point USA, they framed all of it, again, down to She received 0 points out of 25 on the essay. Transgender professor Mel Curtis said Ms. Fulnecki failed to use empirical evidence and called parts of her essay offensive. The pull quote they pulled out was where the professor, Mel, that's where Mel messed up. She messed up when she said to call an entire group of people as demonic is highly offensive, especially a minoritized population. That's where she messed up. She gave too much of her hand. She shouldn't have said that. But they made this whole thing saying that she got a bad grade because her religious beliefs and her Christian beliefs.
Tomato.
I thought this was the wildest thing ever, right? Now, the second thing I thought about was, well, this is the state of Oklahoma. And Oklahoma has been in the news quite a bit lately, because Oklahoma is now 50th in the state in education. And over the past, I think since the first Trump administration, they have gone all in on the red team. They're the only state in the union where every county went red. And as a result of that, they've been able to just do sweeping Confederate policies all the way up and down. All just Confederate, everything Confederate, right? It's 1857 over there in Oklahoma right now. And one of the huge stories that's been breaking in Oklahoma has been the school superintendent. And the school superintendent, he just had to step down for corruption after the few years he was in office. But he was requiring every school, every classroom to have a Bible in the classroom. And not just a Bible, a Trump Bible. A Trump Bible that had a constitution in the back of it that wasn't the actual Constitution. Like, these aren't, I'm not making this up. This is what's been happening in Oklahoma. And so their education system is going crazy downhill, right? So I looked at this, I'm like, oh man, this is at the University of Oklahoma. I bet they're going to side with the student. And then today, there's a story. and Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma left a statement. So here's what the University of Oklahoma said. The University of Oklahoma takes seriously concerns involving First Amendment rights, certainly including religious freedoms. Upon receiving notice from the student on the grading of an assignment, the university immediately began a full review of the situation has acted swiftly to address the matter. First, the college acted immediately to address the academic issue raised by the student. College leaders contacted her on the day her letter was received and have maintained regular communication throughout the process. As previously stated, a formal grade appeals process was conducted. The process resulted in steps to ensure no academic harm to the student from the graded assignments. The process resulted in steps to ensure no academic harm to the student from the graded assignments. That's a weird sentence. One, it sounds like that sentence was written in Oklahoma. But two, I believe that's what that says is, hey, we're going to let the student slide on this one. We're going to let the student slide on this one.
Tomato.
Second, the student reported filing a claim of illegal discrimination based on religious beliefs to the appropriate university office. OU has a clear process for reviewing such claims, and it has been activated. The graduate student instructor has been placed on administrative leave pending the finalization of this process. To ensure fairness in the process, a full-time professor is serving as the course instructor for the remainder of the semester. OU remains firmly committed to fairness, respect, and protecting every student's rights to express sincerely held religious beliefs.
Tomato.
Oklahoma protected her grade, and they put the professor on administrative leave, and they're reviewing this for religious discrimination. And so this is DEI for Christians. This is where we're at. This is like the cake lady in Kentucky. There's this lady who didn't want to make a cake for a gay couple that came in there. And she took it all the way to the Supreme Court, got to meet Trump. So she wouldn't have to make a cake. In this case, you get to break all science expectations in research, study, and how opinions are written. You get to skirt the assignment as a whole, as long as you say, I'm a Christian. University of Oklahoma is a public school. Okay, public tax dollars are used to run this school. That's part of where we are now too in the education system. You have a number of private schools doing states who are giving public dollars to wealthy people by coming up with voucher programs, which takes public dollars and allows families to use them to go to private schools. So if a private school is $10,000 and you get a $3,000 voucher, it helps cut the cost. The problem with that is, I don't know about y'all, I did not grow up in a family where my parents could pay $10,000 a year for school. So if we got a $3,000 voucher, that's still $7,000. And I did not grow up in a family that could pay $7,000 a month for school. So it's just a way to move money from the public base and public people into wealthy hands in private institutions. It's happening nationwide. But that's what this is. And I think this was a setup, because this is Turning Point USA again. That's how I saw this in the first place. And they have campuses nationwide in high schools and colleges. And this is part of their mission. This is part of what Charlie Kirk is being celebrated for. You know, one of their missions is to make all institutions Confederate. They want to have Confederate points of views, Confederate ideologies permeate through college campuses. One of the problems that they have, generally speaking, is that when you look at people who vote for the red team, it's the uneducated. So when a man or woman goes to college, there's a less likely chance that they're going to support, in this case, President Trump. There was actually a poll that was just recently released about that. And I think I still have the statistics on this. The point is, this is a bigger conversation that's happening nationwide on multiple levels. And here is an example that happened in the past 2 days that really perfectly captures it. Here is the poll that I was referring to. Can you guys see that? Let's see. Yeah, so here is the poll that came out recently. Okay, the poll says, NBC poll opinion of Trump, white men, no degree plus 41, white men college degree plus 1. So there's a 40-point shift with white men who go to college. White women, no degree plus 14. White women with a college degree, negative 38. Now, the post here says, what is it about universities that does this to white women? It's not just white women, it's people. It's called education, right? So they've been finding ways to attack colleges with this. And this is what we're seeing right here. Like, this is an example of what we're seeing that is happening on the ground. And I'm just flabbergasted when I saw this story. And it looks to me like it was a setup. Because again, this is Turning Point USA. This is a trans teacher. And it became a major story really quickly. And it's happening in Oklahoma. You know, this seems like one of those insurgent stories that happen. I can't prove that. That's just how it feels in my gut. So the reactions to this have been pretty incredible. And so here are a few reactions that we see here. This one's from Giggly. You guys got that? Yeah, you got that. Giggly says Giggly is replying to the Calvin Coolidge Project, which says, report University professor Mel Curtis has failed a student named Samantha K for quoting from the Bible in her essay based on gender roles. Well, we just read the essay. And based on what we read, I agree with Giggly. She says, she wasn't failed for quoting the Bible. I received an A on this at Harvard during my first year, and I wrote about Christianity and cited the Bible in an expository writing class. You can quote the Bible, you just have to write a decent essay. That's what the problem is here. The essay wasn't even an attempt at really being an essay. 1 second, applause to that comment. Dr. Kareem Carr says, everybody's jumping on the prose, but as a piece of scientific writing, the reasoning level of the essay is extremely bad too. She writes, women naturally want to do womanly things because God has created us with those womanly desires in our hearts. A sentence like this is circular and literally means nothing. Imagine going to Wikipedia to learn about cats, only for the cat behavior section to read, cats went to do cat things because God created them with catly desires in the heart. And the whole essay is like that. Yeah, that's the truth. 1 second, applause. No Signal says, I can see why Oklahoma is ranked 50th in education. Yeah, I can see it too. That's about right there. 1 second, applause that one. Here's another one from Nate. It says, if I see a Christian pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope they're qualified. Now, that's a direct quote at Charlie Kirk, right? Because one of Charlie Kirk's famous quotes was, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, man, I hope they're qualified. That's what Charlie Kirk said, right? Well, Nate's like, if I see a Christian pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope they're qualified. And that's really the problem with this type of decision, right? The problem with this is that now you have people who are going to start looking at these institutions as if like, yo, there's no way this person can be competent and go there. It's going to start traveling. I'm looking at the University of Oklahoma side eye, like, whoa, you went to the University of Oklahoma? I don't know if this is the year to be bragging about that, homeboy. Arvo Flat says, the American right is so weak and stupid, they want affirmative action for grades. That's what it reads. That's how I was reading. 1 second, applause. And this one here from Derek Davison says, does this policy apply across the board? Can I get an MD at Oklahoma by saying shit like, livers are livers because God make them want to do liverly things? That would fucking rule. 1 second, applause. Oh my gosh, it's so hilarious to me. And here's the last one from Dr. Kareem Carr. This is what they always claimed universities did for minorities. Force professors to lower the standards in the... Here it is here. This is what they always claim universities did for minorities. Force professors to lower standards in the name of political ideology. Come to find out, they're projecting onto others what they desperately wanted for themselves. DEI for conservatives. Point is this. Don't ever listen to Joel Santana. Don't listen to nobody that tell you that reading ain't important. Don't listen to nobody gaslight you and say that you only got your position because of the color of your skin or because you checked a box or whatever. Can't worry about that stuff because that's going to happen one way or the other. And we're seeing it now. And we're seeing it used for situations like this. We're seeing it used in a sense with Charlie Kirk. I mean, my man got statues all over the place. Oklahoma just passed something that required all schools to have a Charlie Kirk statue. We're on the other side of the conversation at this point in time. And I think these stories continue to remind me how important it is for people to be as educated as possible, be able to hone their critical thinking skills, to be able to understand text, and be able to understand that this is where we are now. And higher education in 2025 also comes with some of the craziest scapegoating that I've ever seen. So everybody be safe out there. But this story is wild. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. My name is Justin Hunt. Like, subscribe to the channel. Follow the Company Man on everything, including the Company Man podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all happening. That's one of the wildest stories I've ever seen, guys. That was so crazy. So crazy. I mean, that paper was bad. Bad. And there was comments in there, too, where some people are saying this paper is actually above average. And I think that actually speaks to where Professor Sky and Dr. Jabari Evans and some of my friends in higher education are talking about. Like, if that is an above average paper in 2025, then on a global scale, we're just way too far behind. Way too far behind. So, all right, you guys still with me? It's all happening. We're going to check back in with Papoose. We're going to check back in with my brother Papoose and get back to another clip from his Bars on Wheels. So let's take a look at that. I got to get better at my banners too. Here we go. Okay. I've had the last couple of times, I've had the wrong banner on the screen. All right, big shout out to Papoose. This is part 2 of Bars on Wheels. Again, it is 11 minutes of fire, and it's a story. The track actually tells a story, and this track right here is one of the more creative ones on the project. So let's take a look. And shout out to Papoose.
Couldn't save him.
If you got a drug problem, you gotta watch who you buying from. If you catch a dose of me, I promise you dying, son. All these dudes care about is getting some cash. They wanna make their product stronger, so they mix it with trash. A bunch of fake hustlers, biggest snakes you can see.
So one thing that he does on this short film, and again, I'll put it in the comment section of the video. One of the things he does with this short film is in every scene, he's driving a different type of vehicle. So he was driving the Bentley in the beginning. We saw the tease. He's going to be driving a police car. Now he's driving a hearse. There's two other things he's driving in between. And that's the story he's telling around it. So it's 11 minutes for the video itself. The EP is out now. And the EP is actually 15 minutes. So it's 6 tracks. So it's 2 extra tracks he didn't do a full visual for that are on here. But listen to what he does with this verse. 1 second applause to Pat.
Before they come to sell you drugs, they lace it with me. A man-made chemical. Gotta watch what you taking, cause combined with other drugs, I'm a deadly combination. I am 100 times stronger than morphine. Before they caught that lawsuit, you could find me in Walgreens. I'd rather see Prince singing in the purple rain, but instead I seen an icon hurt in pain. Unfortunately, he thought he was taking painkillers, but he didn't know they laced him with me, the grave digger. Mac Miller thought he was buying Percocets, but they laced him with me, which led to a certain death. Years later, the cops caught the punk cowards who sold it, cause they got arrested for selling counterfeit oxycodone. Great actor, he was honest about his addiction, but that didn't stop me from taking Michael K. Williams. Gangsta Boo, TMZ claim my life was lost by me, but out of respect, we gotta wait for the autopsy. Rest in peace, Coolio, well known from coast to coast, another legend the world lost from an overdose.
I forgot about that. Coolio. 1 second applause to Coolio. Rest in power.
Be extra careful. If you smoking marijuana, it's laced all over the place. New York to California, if you buy random drugs and we never met before. Let me introduce myself. My name is Fentanyl. Fentanyl, fentanyl, fentanyl.
You know me, I love a third person personification rhyme. I love a third person personification rhyme. Pick it remix. 1 second applause. Man. So that's the last track that is on his Bars on Wheels video. I'm a big fan of that. The thing that jumps out to me most on this one too, this last clip, is it's really a tragedy that you got to think about your marijuana being laced with fentanyl. I mean, that's just such a tragedy. Of all things, like, we can't just be weed no more. Weed is so engineered now. You don't need no fentanyl for that.
Tomato.
Big shout out to Papoose. Bars on Wheels is out now. It's doing crazy numbers. It's got like 1.5 million views in 3 days. And so I'll make sure to put a clip or the link of that in the description so you guys can check it out. But shout out to Papoose. And 1 second applause again. And I'll give this one 7.9 second applause. Because I love a metaphor rap. Let's personify fentanyl. That's what's up. All right, so we got one more block on today's episode of the Company Man Show, the 4th episode of the Company Man Show live. I think I'm finding the groove a little bit. The first episode I did had so many stories, it ended up being like 3.5, 4 hours, right? And then the second one I did, it was so short, it was almost like barely an hour. And so I think I'm finding a groove. I definitely want to have, again, highlight new music on this platform every day. So if you guys have new artists, or if you guys are artists yourselves, send me a track if you want me to play it. I'll consider it and we'll figure it out. But this last segment, I think there's a lot to learn from a journalistic standpoint. I don't even say a lot to learn, but I thought this was a really interesting media interaction that has gone semi-viral over the past couple of days. And so we're going to take a look at it right now. So big shout out to Shirley Jew. Shirley Jew. 1 second applause to Shirley Jew. So if you guys, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Shirley Jew, but let's see here. Shirley Jew is, she has a show called Shirley's Temple. It's her platform. It's her podcast where she interviews artists and mavens, celebrities and rappers primarily. And she has been doing this for quite a while. She also did worked with My Mixtapes. I think you've probably seen her work there. She's done some work with DJ Vlad. She's been around for a minute. And Shirley Jew was actually my first intern at Hip Hop DX. And so we had her, she did some interviews. She also ran the music section there. So we've been working with Shirley Ju for a long time. Really great friend of mine. Known her for a long time. And she's just a really solid person, all things considered. Right. So one second applause to Shirley Ju. Right. And so she's also really big in the marijuana space. And so that's generally where her conversations live. Now, this clip here is Shirley Ju interviewing LaRussell. And Shirley posted it, of course. It's not like a gotcha. She posted it because I think she knew it was going to be a really good viral moment. But there's a couple of things that I see here because I'm starting to see this clip get around. And so let's take a look at what Shirley and LaRussell are talking about.
Oh my God.
Don't get shy on me now, LaRussell.
I just feel like there's more fruitful questions that could be asked to me. When you have somebody,
I get a better start. Instagram makes it tough. Every other platform, you have the scroll bar easily. Oh my gosh, I can't get it. Okay, well, every other platform you have the scroll bar easily, and Instagram is like, no, we want to be difficult. All right, let's see if we got it.
Position.
All right, so Shirley asked LaRussell, what's her favorite sexual position? That's what Shirley asked. Okay. Look at LaRussell's answer.
Oh my God.
Don't get shy on me now, LaRussell.
I just feel like there's more fruitful questions that could be asked to me. When you have somebody of a certain intellect and knowledge and achievement, it's like you could really get game, and asking them how they like to fuck is just it's a waste of a question.
Sometimes I really just be.
It's a waste of a question. You've got someone at this level of achievement, and you have an opportunity to really get game. And it's a waste of a question. All right. Well, 1 second applause. I'm not mad at that response from LaRussell, but watch where it goes.
Wanting no motherfucker's favorite position.
Why though? Or am I gonna say it and you fuck me like that right now?
No.
Exactly.
No, I think
if I went to your house and met your parents and I'm talking to your dad and I'm like, hey, what's your favorite sex position? You'd be like, what's up with you, right?
Yeah.
I'm no different. It's like, why?
Someone get my back on this.
No, they don't have your back. They're like, nigga, we feel the same way. Okay. They don't want to know my favorite sex position. When the last time you sucked dick? That's shit. You feel me? It's like, why?
This is a terrible segue, but what do you want your legacy to be? I know.
You're here live with LaRussell from the Bay Area. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Shirley's Temple, where we talk about sex, and more sex. And we ask innovative artists what they like about sex and how much sex they can have and just sexing it up. If you want to know about some sex, come on down to Shirley's Temple, where we're fucking in that temple. That's the only temple you can walk into and we fucking. It's just sex in there. Shirley's Sex Temple. Come on down to Shirley's Sex Temple.
Favorite sex position?
Destroyed her. Trolled her to hell. 1 second applause. It's kind of crazy. Now, one, he makes great points. I mean, we're talking about LaRussell here. He is one of the most successful independent artists that we have seen, certainly this decade. I think he's in the conversation now where he's probably one of the most successful independent artists we've seen in the past 15 years. You know what I mean? I think his ceiling, LaRussell's ceiling, is off the charts because LaRussell is more than just someone who's putting out his music. He is someone who's literally community building. He is in the vein of all the greats and great people in music, but also great people in culture and in society that come out of the Bay. He brings people together. He has an open heart, a big heart. He makes songs that kids can listen to. He's doing parties at his house and his venues and throughout the Bay Area. He's doing things for the community. He is a maven, a monster, and he is someone who is putting on for the culture and for his people. It don't get much doper than LaRussell. 1 second applause. And he's sitting down with Shirley Ju, and Shirley says, what's your favorite sex position? Now, full disclosure, the conversation is much longer than this, right? It wasn't like the first question. They really dig into a lot of things that LaRussell is doing, and they dig into a lot of the work that he is continuing to do. I laughed at Professor Sky's comment right there. Shout out to Professor Sky. 1 second applause, Professor Sky, and read my soul. But there's more to it. But this type of conversation is the type of conversation that I honestly think a lot of people in the music space are tired of. And when I say the music space, I mean, so with people who still value and care about the craft, who still put a lot of work into telling their story about their creations. Not necessarily the entertainment space, not necessarily the celebrity space, not necessarily the gossip space, but truthfully in the music space, right? And I think there's a lot of podcasts who struggle to figure out whether they are a music podcast, are they a culture podcast, are they a gossip podcast? Also, you know, it's important for everyone to understand who their audience is, right? I know my audience does not want to hear me ask about that question. I just know it. You know what I mean? And I know that because of experiences where I've done collaborations with other people or collaborations with other people while I was at Hip Hop DX. And maybe the person I was collaborating with was asking that question for their audience. And that clip gets around. And I see people come to me and say, we don't want to hear you talk about sex positions, TCM. 1 second applause. It's fine. It's all good. But this is going really viral. Like on her page right now, this has 71,000 likes. And the reactions, the reactions are all pro LaRussell. Right? Check out some of these reactions. Right? So this is a collab post, so it's on both of them. D1 Music, shout out to you, Brody, real talk. Freeway, Philadelphia Freeway, he's laughing. Hit Boy, he's laughing. Sure she's laughing. Ty, big shout out to Ty. She says, love how you handle this. Rex Life Raj is laughing. LaRussell says, Shirley's a great interviewer. She has a lot of phenomenal questions. She just thought she was interviewing Diddy for a second. 1 second applause. Jessica Lorenzo, shout out to Jessica Lorenzo. She's really, really talented. I love you, Shirley Jew, but he's right. Put me on game. 1 second applause. Right. So you see where the conversation is. Like people are laughing, but also people are like, yo, I see exactly where you're coming from, LaRussell. People want to hear game. They want to hear a real conversation. They didn't necessarily want to hear LaRussell talk about his favorite sex position. And so Shirley's been getting called out across the internet. Big shout out to Zoe TV. Big Zoe did a video on this. Shout out to Boxden. I was looking at Boxden. BX covered this. And she's catching a lot of flack for this. But I think there's more to this story. And I watched this conversation because I watch a lot of Shirley's content because, again, we've been friends for a long time. I think she's put in a lot of work and she's been working really hard. And she's hitting a great stride with her podcast. And so I remember this conversation. Okay. And so Shirley actually has a segment of her podcast, which is like the short question. So she'll do like a long deep dive. And at the end, it's sort of quick viral questions. And so I think she got what she was looking for with this one here. But check out what happens 3 questions prior. 3 questions prior, this happens.
I wish I was smart enough. All right, we're going to end with the Templeton Spitfire round.
Let's go.
Favorite emoji?
The hug.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I send the hug a lot.
I like the hug too. I use the hug quite a bit. 1 second applause to the hug.
That's so sweet. I feel like that's endearing. Favorite snack?
I'm going to go coochie.
Did you hear what he said? Did I share the screen? It's on the screen. Did you guys hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? I'm going to bring that back. Listen to what he said. This is like 3 questions before the video we just saw.
Templeton Spitfire round.
Let's go.
Favorite emoji?
The hug.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I send the hug a lot.
That is so sweet. I feel like that's endearing. Favorite snack?
I'm going to go coochie.
I'm going to go coochie. His favorite snack is coochie. Second applause. So, well, Shirley is going viral for asking about the sex position, and LaRussell did an incredible job trolling and turned it into some moments. Right there. Great moment. It's a super viral moment. They got the fact that they're on the podcast is out there in the world. It is right there. But prior to that actually happening, Shirley asked the innocuous question, "What's your favorite snack?" And LaRussell says,
hug a lot.
That is so sweet. I feel like that's endearing. Favorite snack?
I'm going to go coochie.
Coochie.
Ah!
Coochie. That's LaRussell's favorite snack. Now, I wasn't thinking about coochie when she asked the favorite snack. I was one coming off the hug. I'm like, oh, man, I like the hug too. Shout out to the hug. 1 second applause. And then right after that, I thought he was going to say, I don't know, favorite snack. I don't know, wheat thins. I don't know, something. I don't know what they eat in the bay. Whatever. And he says coochie. Well, that has changed. Now that is out there in the world, That is a totally different situation now. Even as an interviewer and journalistically, I'm always looking for the right question to set up the thing that the PR person really doesn't want the artist to talk about. How can I put together the right series of questions that'll get them to bring that thing up first so I can ask the follow-up? Totally different ball game at that point in time. Okay, I don't know what the behind-the-scenes conversations were like happening with before this interview. I don't know what their relationship is like, broadly speaking. But I know that everyone is caught up on LaRussell telling Shirley, don't be over here wasting time asking me sex questions. I can really give you game. I'm an important person. Well, Shirley asked you what your favorite snack was. You said coochie. So now we get some breath and some range. I just thought that was really funny. And these are the kind of things that happen all the time. And, you know, I watch pretty much everybody's stuff. I watch majority of people's things. I'll say that. But I'm familiar with everybody's work. And I'm always looking at things from a critical lens, but also from a professional lens and a journalistic lens. And there's a lot of times where I see things where people get mad about an artist or a journalist asking a question to an artist, or people look at a clip and they take it out of context. And I thought this was a really interesting example, right? Because, you know, there are going to be people who aren't necessarily familiar with Shirley's podcast, right? That's just the case. Most of us are only known through clips. The majority of things that we're putting out are going to reach the most people in 15-second to 1-minute clips, right? And that is not going to be the totality of what we have to offer, but it will look like that to some people. And in this case, it looks like Shirley's Temple is a place to go if you don't want to have a serious conversation. And I don't believe that that's necessarily the case. I think that LaRussell was making amazing points, right? You do want, if you got someone sitting in front of you that's going to be able to give you game, you want to be able to get as much information out of them as possible, right? But in this same conversation, before she even gets to that question, LaRussell flipped the whole thing. Also a very Bay thing to do. Coochie. You know what I'm saying? They got the whole game. So I just thought that was funny. It's also another sign of things that if you're in the space and you're working on building your brand, you know, understand how you know, the full story isn't always what matters, right? And the thing I think that's cool about this is that they both collaborated on that clip. So it seems like everything's in good fun. But I had fun with that segment there. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow the Company Man on everything, including the Company Man podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all happening. So, yeah, but there's that. And so I wanted to share that one there too. Now, you know, as I continue to develop on how this is going to go and how this is going to look, there are certain things that I do know I want to do. Like I was talking about, the music thing is something I definitely want to do. Also, you know, I also want to start looking at media in a different way and pointing out different things that I see in the space, because I'm just also a media junkie as well. So, and I really appreciate everyone that continues to support this channel and to show up and check out this live stream as it's being developed. I'm having a good time with it. And thank you guys for tuning in today. So this is the 4th episode of the Company Man Show, and I will be chopping this up and putting different clips out in the video, so you'll see them on the channel and you'll see them on social and things like that. And I will have an announcement coming soon too, so be excited for that as well. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Thank you guys for all the support. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow at the Company Man on everything. It's all happening.
Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening.